The summer's on, and I've been living on the beach. Left my shoes and all my troubles far away. Been waiting all year to be here, to ride the wave of the water frontier. The ocean's warm and the tunes are chill. We're staying here till we get our fill. We're working hard and we're playing hard too. We're gonna do what we gotta do. Time to go big or go home. And I ain't going home, 'cause summer's on. And I'll be living on the beach. Left my shoes and all my troubles far away. 'Cause summer's on. The ocean's underneath my feet. And if the sun is out, I'll ride the waves all day. Everything we've ever wanted's right here. Don't wanna blink just to fight the fear that our time will pass way too fast. And I'll be dreaming of the beach another year. We're gonna have the time of our lives. Days and nights with the sun in our eyes. And a wild tide under bluest skies, tearing up the shoreline. 'Cause summer's on, and I'll be living on the beach. Left my shoes and all my troubles far away. 'Cause summer's on. The ocean's underneath my feet. And if the sun is out, I'll ride the waves all day. We're gonna ride The summer's on, and I'll be living on the beach. The summer's on, and I'll be living on the beach. Left my shoes and all my troubles far away. 'Cause summer's on, the ocean's underneath my feet. And if the sun is out, I'll ride the waves all day.
So refreshing. Oh wow, that actually works. Hey, I managed to fix my what's it called? My hotkeys on Discord. So we're off to a phenomenal start, in my opinion.
Excellent.
Woo.
All right, well, now that I've figured out how hotkeys work on Discord, hello everybody. Thank you for joining us again for another episode of Sand and Shadow. I am your humble dungeon master, EK on the Turtle VTuber, and we are on episode 16. I cannot tell you guys how proud I am of you guys and of me that we've committed to this and we're 16 episodes in. I said that when we hit double digits, but I didn't expect us to keep going, especially with all the the random like misses that we've been getting because we've been sick, or there's just been like mental days we just couldn't do it. So the fact that we were here is major ups for us. Real talk, like pat yourselves on the back, guys. Seriously, like but anyways, thank you guys once again for joining us. We're gonna start things off just real quickly. Let's get our introductions out of the way. Starting, of course, with tradition. We have the lovely Not Mafia.
I'm away from my microphone a little bit. I was grabbing something across the room. Hello, I'm not Mafia. I play Violet. No last name. She doesn't have a last name. The warlock and undead person. Resident zombie.
Resident Zombie. Go.
Yeah. You could say my residents might be evil.
You see, just heads up. Everybody needs a resident zombie. We're just saying. Following suit, we have the lovely Wailing Frog.
Hello, I'm Wailing Frog. I play Millennia Amaranth. She just kind of got thrown into all this that's going on and is just kind of going with it at this point.
Weirdest first day on the job, I'll admit.
Really, it's been like, what, an hour that I've known these people?
Somewhere in the ballpark, yeah.
An hour, and now you're already meeting with a merchant prince.
Following through, we have the lovely Miss Cherry.
Hi, I'm here. Hello, I'm Cherry, aka Laser Rabbit, aka Ember Roxwater, the dwarf bard. And a fun fact about Ember this week is that she doesn't have a fun fact prepared for this week. Let's go.
Yeah! We love those fun facts. Of course, immediately after that, we have our lovely newbie, Miss Lumi.
Hello, everyone. My name is Lumi, and I play Visper, the embodiment of chaos.
High risk, high
That's
reward,
it.
right?
Yep, high risk, high reward.
Yep.
My official catchphrase.
It's going on a t-shirt. And of course, my homie, we got the wonderful Rune Phantom. What's up, my man?
Oh, not much. What up, everybody? My name is Rune Phantom, and I play the magnanimous Squarb Featherfowl, who was going through his parents' CD collections the other day, and he found something interesting from this band called Hawk Nelson.
I fucking hate you.
There's CDs here.
I fucking hate you.
I love you too, bud.
I'm going to.
It could have been
there's a
Flock of
level.
Seagulls.
It could have been Flock of Seagulls. It was right there. You had it right. It was in the palm of your claw, and you
See,
chose
it
not to
was,
capitalize.
But I thought that Hawk Nelson was funnier.
I appreciate. You know what? I appreciate your integrity for sticking to the bit. Because what is a comedian without integrity? What's up, Seeks? How's it going, man? We just got through our introductions. All right, so a bit of recap. It's been 2 weeks. Where we left off, you guys had been given 1 week before Dame Ordella, the Knight Commander of the Court of Spring, the Fey court in which the newly found out Princess Visper hails from, is going to be returning back to the Feywild. She has been given 1 week to say her goodbyes, get her things in order, etc., etc. And you guys had narrowly avoided a potentially intraplanar dispute. We'll just say that for posterity's sake. In this time, you guys had sort of figured out that Visper doesn't want to go home, but it seems like it's sort of a no-brainer. Like, we really don't have a choice in this matter. But Squarb reported this over to his current commanding officer, who is Commander Lee, the Leonin, who you guys met way back when the Sixth Scotter Audine was attacked and the not soldiers, prisoners were liberated from their cells. Uh, he kind of panicked, and he decided the best case scenario is to contact the Merchant Prince and give you guys a meeting. In that time, Squarb was given an upgrade to his equipment. He got the magical weapons lock and key, two sentient weapons that only work when in tandem with one another. And then you guys went to a clothier who is run by two gnomes to get yourselves decked out in some new duds so that way you can look more appropriate when you meet the Merchant Prince at the Royal Library. So that is where we left off, and the reason why we left off there is because I wanted to give you guys the time to think about and design your character's attire for your meeting. So if anybody would like to volunteer to go first on what you guys look like, feel free to do so. And then once everybody's been introduced, we will move directly to the Royal Library.
Ooh, can I go first?
Absolutely.
All right. I prepared an entire concept art image. I'll just post it. But essentially, what my new PNG looks like is essentially what I'm dressed as. It's this like high big bun where I put all my long hair at. This gemstone that's on the front of my flower crown, which I changed it up now. Then I have this long royal gown that kind of cuts off at the sleeves and whatnot, and it just droops down, and it has this pattern. And for my it's green, by the way. Sorry if it's
Like an emerald. It's like an emerald green.
It's all green, and this like at the bottom of like this like robe, it kind of swooshes out, and it has like this white like trim around it, and I have like these brown shoes.
It's very lovely.
I'm not good with words.
It's
I'm
okay.
only good at drawing.
It's okay. We have to remember we're mostly an audio podcast, so we have to be very descriptive of what we're doing. So it's a skill you're gonna learn.
Yeah.
Well, that is wonderful. So yeah, Visper, you are. These two gnomes had gotten your measurements very quickly because you were all in on this. You're like, no, we're just into the nines for this. So they bring out this very vibrant and beautiful like emerald green fabric that sort of just contrasts very beautifully with your dark skin and your silver hair. They tied your hair up in this lovely top bun, and they replaced your flower crown with this almost like a laurel of like a laurel of leaves, almost like that, but instead it's this nice like middle ground of gemstone and leaf filigree, where it's sort of like a tiara in a sense, where it just wraps around your head, or like a circlet with the with the emerald as the gem centerpiece of it all. But everything else feels like very much like your flower crown, where it has these branches that extend off, but it's actually made of like a very fine silver, and the leaves themselves are actually just enchanted to look real, but they're nothing more than an illusion. Your brown heels, which I'm going to assume they are because they look fabulous. Those look like 3-inch heel sandals, my girl. You are strutting. And those are not, and those do not look like they're block heels. Those are straight up normal heels. But yeah, no, they have this. Based on your image that I have here, they have these. It's a set of heeled sandals that kind of wrap just a little bit halfway up your calf to kind of provide more structure to them. And then to sort of finish off the whole piece, you have this lovely little midriff belt that is just a very nice, simple brown strap that there's another emerald that sits just above your navel, and then and then at the base of your dress is this very it looks almost like a cloud that sort of sits and kind of floats just a little bit above the ground to provide this sort of air of mystique about you.
Hey, you described that better than I could.
It's a skill. It's a skill that I have a lot of practice with. That's all it is, honey. You will learn. You will learn to get better at it. Trust me. It takes a lot of years. All right, who would like to go next?
I can.
Wonderful.
So Violet is not as comfortable with formal clothes and especially things that are sort of tight fitting, not as loose. However, these gnomes are forcing her to do this anyway.
Yes, they are.
And she steps out in a I wouldn't say tight fitting, but it's definitely not as loose as she likes.
It's a very form-fitting attire by the looks of it.
Yeah. Sort of deep purple jacket with sandy brown accents throughout the whole thing. Has a sort of hip cape going out, or like back skirt only, very flowy, with a little raven head crow or raven skull neck piece connecting a sort of shoulder shawl that fits in with the rest of the outfit.
That is a Violet aesthetic. Absolutely. That is such a Violet aesthetic. I appreciate that.
And then also combat boots on bottom because she was not going to wear heels.
Hey, you know what? More power to you. That is wonderful. I love the addition of the raven or crow skull clip to kind of keep that shawl up. That's really sick. I love that. All right. Next, who would like to go next?
I can.
Wonderful.
So at the start, there's a lot of arguing.
Yes, the gnomes are trying to get measurements, and you're like, no.
Not per se that. It's mostly like, I don't want to wear a dress. Do not make me wear a dress. But you look so good, and no, I'm not wearing a dress, sort of thing. And finally, they cave in and let her kind of pick out what she wants. So, she has on a black leather vest. On top of that the vest kind of buttons up around the neck. On top of that is a buttoned, just kind of a petticoat. 3 buttons are holding it together, and then a cinched. Sorry, low on sleep.
Take your time.
Cinched, thin leather belt around her waist. Holding up her sword on her back is a new strap. Very nice, elegant black leather with some gold highlights to it. Her main color is yellows and whites with a little bit of darkness in there. She has fingerless gloves on with cuffed links around her wrists, and kind of like almost riding pants for like riding.
Like horse riding pants.
Yeah, like those.
Okay.
And then cuffed leather boots because, like Violet, she will not wear heels.
I like this. You have a very like soldiers gala aesthetic.
Yeah.
Like no, this is purely a business meeting.
Yep. And because I'm going to forget, I'm going to tell you now. If she shifts, this thing is destroyed.
Yes, we established that in a previous conversation. That's not going to last. It is not going to last whatsoever. Alrighty. So Cherry, or not sorry, I'm sorry, Ember, Scorb. Which one of you would like to go next?
I'll go ahead.
Alrighty.
Scorb's outfit is actually rather similar to Melania's. God dang it. Uh,
Two.
it is it is in a striking blue instead of the tones that she is wearing. But other than that, the only other thing that is different from her outfit is the addition of these brilliant golden, like they used gold thread to make them, the like the epaulettes or whatever the
Mhm.
shoulder pads are called.
Yep.
The outfit it looks shockingly similar to for out of game purposes the guardsman's outfit that you see in the live action Cinderella. So he's
Oh,
wearing like
okay.
the blue Justicorps. He's wearing like proper riding pants. He's got riding boots on. His sword's on his hip, shield on his back, all of that jazz.
Man, that must be very uncomfortable for Scorb to be wearing shoes.
Well, I mean, as close to as close to shoes as an Aarakocra can have.
more like claw coverings.
Yeah, something basically to just show, like, I am doing my absolute best to look good here.
Right, right.
It's
Like
not
a-
comfortable even a little bit, and it's very clear, like, he's not going to be able to fight very well in this outfit,
Mhm.
but that's not the point. The point is to present well to the Merchant Prince.
Yes. I will say, for comfort's sake, they did measure out slits for your wings to slip through, so you can still functionally use your wings.
Thank goodness.
Yeah, so I will give this to you, and I'm like, this is like one of the defining features of an Eric Cochran is their wings. I'm not going to restrict that from you. We're not going to put a binder on them. They easily managed to go around your wings.
I would be very shocked if they were unable to.
Right. Okay, and then Ember.
Alrighty. So, Ember took the whole formal attire thing very seriously. And she, who is normally in a dress and a corset and all that stuff, has decided to go a little bit different this time. Basically, she still got like a skirt going on underneath, but she's in like all of like this thick, velvety, dark blue, like a nighttime at the ocean kind of blue,
Oh, okay.
where the stars are matching the water and the mirror images of a night sky and the water, and it's soft and velvet, but the top portion is a tuxedo in that same shade of blue with a white shirt on underneath, collared, button all the way up to the top, and she's got a long necktie that is silky and bright, like a brighter colored to go against all that dark blue. So it's like a brighter color blue, maybe
Sort of like
kind of
a
like a
sort of like
sea
a
foamy.
gradient sort of aesthetic.
Yeah, yeah. And she's got her long red curls, or I'm sorry, I've got my long red curls all tied up in the back. Some of them are hanging back like ribbony tendrils coming off the back of my head. But to keep it all in place is a big black bow top hat kind of thing, like a little tiny top hat with a big black bow on it, and it's got like a little sapphire right in the center of the bow.
Oh, so the top hat's very much like the gothic Lolita sort of fashion, huh?
Exactly, and a
Got you.
matching walking cane. She doesn't need it, but she could definitely smack somebody in the face with it.
Okay, okay.
I
If
cast Shillelagh.
casually.
Yeah.
If you would like to, Ember, go ahead and add a club to your inventory if that's what you wish to. Should the need arise, you have a club.
Exactly. Got it, got it, got it.
Yeah, go ahead and add that to your inventory should the need arise. God forbid it does. Okay, well, you all look stunning in your own aesthetic. You all look incredible.
We
so
don't match at all.
you
No,
don't
we don't.
have to. You all look like you just came out of a
Right.
caravan.
Yeah. And then
Um,
also, I would just like to quickly establish, because this was a change I made last minute, as in while other people were describing.
mhm.
Violet's disguise hat takes the form of two gem earrings as she looks human-ish.
Right. So you like what's it called? You trace the rim of the hat, and then it turns into a pair of like. Do you want these to be like a particular color or these earrings?
Purple, I assume amethyst-ish.
Yeah, sure.
don't
We'll
know.
go with
Yeah.
we'll go with two small amethyst earrings, and the glamour kind of traces, kind of like washes over you, giving you this very like almost like medieval pale complexion, like like you just went through bloodletting, because that was an actual thing. History lesson. The reason why women looked so pale back in that time is because they were bloodletting, because they thought being pale was beautiful. You know, which you know, to some it is, but just don't bloodlet, please. Don't be that. You're better. We have medicine now.
Yeah, just be like me and constantly avoid the sun.
Yeah, just be a neat. Just save yourself the agony.
Or develop anemia.
Or develop anemia. I don't know. Don't develop anemia.
I
please.
do have anemia. It is not pleasant. I do not suggest it.
Yeah, like don't.
I'm not actually advocating for this, I promise.
Yeah, but you know, you either become a vampire or either become some form of undead that can maintain all your complexion to a beautiful sheen of pale, or just don't bloodlet, please. That's all I'm asking. But yeah,
I
you,
also
Don't get an
forgot to mention
infection.
something about my design. I just realized it. It wasn't in my concept art. It's that I have this like, what is it, earring on the like, what is it, on the like, on my ear, where it's kind of like a floating earring somewhat. It had
Like
these
a
like three.
cartilage earring higher up on the earlobe.
Oh, it's like it's at the like bottom. It's like these. It's like a floating earring. These like three little dots, and then it like turns into like a crescent moon, if that makes sense.
I will say that for aesthetic purposes, the only thing that's tying all of you together is the fact that you all wore the same earring, being the sending earring that you all have. That's the only thing you all have in common, is the sending earring you all wear.
Yeah, I think my reactive basically summed it up better.
Yeah. But yeah, no, yeah, so you just have like this very like almost Snow White complexion to you. It's very beautiful, it's very smooth, but it is clear that your baby face combined with your aesthetic seems to be in stark contrast with one another, or you're a porcelain doll. We won't know until we find out.
Yeah.
So you guys all arrive at the steps of the Royal Library. Not too dissimilar from when you guys went to the immigration offices about a month and a half prior. This is a very opulent building, but this is in the northern part of Blasphatan, closer to the head of the Scarab, as you'll see these three large towers, off one on the side and then the central tower, and then it's sort of, think of it very much like the aesthetic I'm going for is similar to the Taj Mahal in its aesthetic, like outer aesthetic. So it has like these very opulent towers and this very wide sort of shape about it. But the only difference between the Taj Mahal and this is the Taj Mahal is well maintained, and this is a desert building being moved by a giant scarab. So as you guys make your way up the steps, you'll notice that a lot of different individuals dressed very differently kind of come in and out of the building. You see people who are well dressed like yourselves, and yet you also see the common folk coming in and out. You would know, at least the majority of the people here, well, correction, two of you would know, Squarb and Violet would know, now that I just realized how many people are actually travelers into Blasphatan. Squarb, Violet, you would know that the Royal Library, though it's called the Royal Library, it's just a really big public library. But unless you knew, it is particularly, it is also the headquarters for the Merchant Prince of Blasphatan. So you guys step inside, and realistically, the people who are just as well dressed as you, outside of the various merchants or anybody else who just happen to want to look fancy for today, just happen to be the archivists themselves. They wear these very opulent robes of these dark of this like dark black robe with a gold trimming along the cuffs and along the hood and edges of their robes, and then they have a sash wrapped around their midriff that it's what's it called? It's a violet sash that drapes around their midriff, and then it just drops off to the side, almost like a belt sort of thing with a bit of looseness to it. And then they all have they all have a symbol of a scarab emblazoned in gold on their backs. They Today looks like it's a very busy day. Like, it's still quiet, don't get me wrong. It's still a library at its core. It's very peaceful, it's very quiet, but you can clearly tell, everybody, I can give this one to you. You can clearly tell that there seems to be a bit of I guess a bit of fanaticism to, or like a frenetic movement to it, as you see a bunch of archivists kind of power walking from location to location, yet they don't seem to be impeded by the various passersby around them as they kind of go about their business. And then going inside of the building, you see these large shelves of books, like something between the size of like 7 to 10 shelves tall of books, and just all throughout the main foyer. The center area, you see a bunch of these long tables with these floating crystals, similar to the ones you see in Niella's Nook. These floating crystals that provide simple lighting, and then there's another giant crystal way out in the back. This very thin blue crystal just sort of floats there, providing ambient light throughout the entirety of the main hallway. There's a desk there's a circular desk that sits right in the middle of all those tables, where you see a bunch of archivists sort of fluttering about, doing busy work. What would you guys like to do as you enter?
Squire will go ahead and march right up to the desk, and to the first archivist who notices his presence, states, "We have an appointment with the merchant prince. Where should we wait in order to be accepted?"
Um, you see this very young looking human. She looks up and she goes, "Oh, you're here to see the prince. Oh, okay. May I please, for the record, can you please state your name and who set up the appointment?"
I am Squarb Featherfowl, and my appointment was set up on behalf of my captain at the Scouta Odin, whose name slips my head right this second.
It would be Officer Lee.
Thank you. And the appointment was set up by my commanding officer for the Scouta Odin, Officer Lee.
Oh, yes. Okay. One moment, please. And she puts on this pair of spectacles, and you'll notice that there isn't a frame in them, but the moment she puts them on and then she sort of swipes her hand over the eyes, there seems to produce this crystalline lens where the glasses lens would be. You'll notice that there are these arcane runes that sort of whiz past her eyes as she reaches out her hand, and then she swipes to the left, and then suddenly you hear a whistling noise, and you see this tube fly into her hand, and then it pops open, and then she pulls out, and it's a scroll. You would recognize the parchment. It is of the Scouta Odin, and she reads it over. "All right, it seems that your appointment is in order," and she just quickly puts it back in the tube, and then she tosses it and then swipes to the right, and it just goes right back to wherever it came from. She takes off her spectacles. "Okay, there will be an attendant who will see you shortly. If you would like to peruse the library, you're more than welcome to do so."
Thank you very much. At that point, Squire will go ahead and march off, and because he's still kind of confused about everything that's happened with the artifacts, he's going to go and try to find some books about the cursed artifacts we're dealing with.
Certainly. Would anybody else like to do anything while they wait?
I
Yes.
would. You can go first, Whisper.
No, you can go first.
Okay.
God, I love how friendly you all are.
I would like to clock possible exits and also where like the rare stuff would be kept because I remember this possibly being a target.
Oh, good eye. Okay. Uh, I would say
Oh yeah.
roll a perception check because you're kind of just looking for the basic stuff, but you're not really like narrowing it down. Well, actually, perception or investigation, depending on how keenly you want to stay focused on something.
We will do perception. Nat 20.
Ooh,
24
Damn,
should roll.
first one of the day.
nice with a 24. Wow, you cleared my DC. Okay, so
I would hope so.
Millennia, the moment Squarb walks over to the front desk, you take this opportunity to be like, better do my job, and you just sort of start glancing around everywhere. You kind of you obviously took notice of the giant gaping hole that you entered through, which was the large, like 20-foot tall doors that you entered through. That's one exit, obviously. You'll notice that there's a lot of ambient light coming in from the crystals, there are no there's no windowed roofing. So there's no like glass ceiling, quote unquote.
Okay.
It is all stone. So as you look around, you don't see any other light sources that would come in. So you can assume that the front door is the only entryway and exit that you can see from where you're standing. But from as you're kind of walking around, you start to pick out a few things here and there. Like there's, you see that there are these doors that only archivists enter, but there's no signage. You'll notice that there is a just like right where the giant crystal is. You notice that there are people who are being lifted almost seemingly by magic. You can't really tell from where you're standing until you move up. You'll notice that it's a magic lift system that kind of gets them between the various levels of the building, or of the main hallway, because you'll notice that as you step further in, it expands out. There are 5 stories of this library that you can see within the central hall. But it looks like it goes even higher because you see some archivists going beyond the 5th floor of books. So it's clear that there is something beyond there, but you can tell that this is you can tell that this is just a lift to get people to and from those locations. Okay. Visper, you said you had something you wanted to look up?
Yep. So I'm gonna try to see if I can find like most interesting book on the highest shelf.
Okay. So you can go ahead and so go ahead and roll me a investigation.
All right.
Well, actually, before you roll that, quick question: define interesting for Visper.
Something interesting.
Like what is an interest of Visper's?
Something that's chaotic. That's all I can really say. Or maybe something like I don't know, like adventure or something.
Okay, roll an investigation. I'm not going to accept that one that I gave you because I didn't give you enough time to clarify. Okay, so roll a new investigation.
All right. Oh wait, shoot. Now I have another thing. Maybe romance, adventure, or something wild. And I got a 4. Wow.
Okay, roll a d20.
All right.
Now roll a d20.
All right. Got a 19.
Awesome. Visper, what languages do you speak again?
Let me check, because I seem to forget every single time.
Celestial,
worry, I do too.
common.
Oh yeah, she speaks the most oddball languages.
I know it's common and celestial.
Yeah.
Celestial,
Draconic.
common, and draconic.
Draconic.
Okay,
Right.
cool. Visper, you kind of just like you went up to the highest floor because that's what you said. So you went up to the 5th floor, and then you're like, I wonder if there's any like really juicy romance novels here, or maybe there's like a really cool adventure novel. And so you kind of just like walk around, your heels kind of click against the tile. It's interesting. You know how, God, I hope everybody understands this sound. You know the sound of heels hitting tile, like y'all know the you all know the
Yep.
click 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 that heels produce, right?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Visper, when
heels
you
around the house.
yeah, Visper, so everybody understands that sound. Visper, when you click 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 along the tile, it doesn't produce that doesn't produce that same sound. It produces it like a hymn or like a humming noise instead, as if it's being
In the
quieted.
world.
Yeah, so instead of going it's going as you step, almost as if it's trying to muffle out the clicking noise.
I'm more interested in the tiles now than any book.
As you but you kind of scan through. Fae don't have a standardized organization system for their books, the way that the material plane does, specifically the way that Blasphatan does. Everything in Blasphatan is organized, 1 in alphabetical order and then 2 by genre. Your royal library is organized by how useful the information is. But because it's different for every person, it's all a jumbled mess. So you just had to memorize where certain books were. So you're kind of fascinated by this whole idea of like, so what is what, and you kind of just skim through. You find the adventure section, and as you skim through, you notice a particular title, called The Lusty Dragonborn. And you're like, well, that can only be good. and you're like, well, that can
Excuse me?
only be good. So you begin. So then you just sort of pull it off and you begin to read it. You rolled a 19. It was in an 18 through 20. You would find this book. So
Get out of here, Todd.
no, I have made this book a thing for every campaign I've ever been in.
Fair enough.
I wrote it. And then in one universe,
Of course you did.
well, in one universe, the authors have it's a continuous thing. It's a running gag. The authors have created 26 volumes of this one series. They're just called The Lusty Dragonborn Volume X, so it just kind of keeps going. They've created 2 omnibuses because of it.
Give me the whole collection.
I feel like you're missing a thing when you don't call it Volume Triple X.
Oh, we did that, but we're waiting for Volume 30.
Ah,
Yeah, we're not at Volume 30 yet, so. So yeah, so you kind of get engrossed in that. However you want to play that, it's up to you. Okay, so Ember, did you want to explore the library at all before I return to Squarb? Or did you want to
I
explore with
actually
somebody
have
else?
something.
Oh, you did have something?
I have something in
Oh.
mind.
Yes, do go.
Okay. I would like to find a librarian,
Okay.
and I'd like to ask them, hello, I am doing a research project on crime in Blasphatan. Do you have like archives of old like records and stuff like that somewhere? And is it like available to the public? Like record books, stuff like that, first sources.
Are you talking about real crimes or fantasy crimes?
Well, I'd prefer nonfiction. I'm doing a research on Blasphatan.
I see. Well, we have released some cold case files and things of that nature within the public records, but everything related to the last 50 years, you would have to get approval from the Skada Audi.
I see. Well, that sounds like a good place to start. If I could find that.
Certainly, and he pulls on a pair of spectacles and he swipes his hands over them, creating these crystalline lenses once more. A sea of arcane runes begin to flash over him before he before he looks around. Let me see. Ah, here it is. And then he just almost like he's got like it's almost like a touch screen in the air. He just kind of lightly taps the air. You don't see anything, but you do feel this like small pulse of magic emanate from where he touched the air. And then he goes, here we are. And then he quickly swipes to the left, and a tube flies into his hand, and he hands it off to you. Follow the tube, and you shall find the location you're looking for.
Great. And is this something that like it stays in the library? It's not something I can check out, kind of thing. Or...
Regretfully so, madam.
All right. Well, thank you anyway. I'll see what I can find.
Happy research. And then he just takes off his glasses. He explains to you that in order to use the tube, you simply just got to open it, and then it will send out a small like wisp of magic that you can follow to the desired section of the library.
Cool. Yeah, this has mostly been I mean, it's not necessarily a ruse. They're doing their job, but
Right.
it's sort of just like an excuse to look at the archives and see if there's anything valuable there
Yeah, absolutely.
that might be stolen.
Yeah, absolutely. So it takes you to the third floor of the library, and it takes you off into this small. It takes you off into the corner of the one of the corners here. It's simply labeled cold cases. But if there's more, you did pass by a couple of other what's it called, other sections that involved other cases or things of that nature. But the closer you got to the crystal, the more fantastical it became. If that makes sense.
Interesting.
Yeah, so is there anything in particular you're looking for while you're here, or?
Actually, while I am here, it's a little bit of a stretch, as I'm sure 50 years ago is not necessarily is a bit too long, but is there anything at all on our Air Genasi friend, Zephyr?
Yeah, go ahead and roll an investigation check.
Investigation. Ooh, +0.
Fun,
For an
fun.
8.
For an 8. You begin searching. You start at the cold case files because that's where the tube sent you. And you don't see anything. Because like I explained to Visper, everything's alphabetized and by
Yeah.
section. So you decided to go, well, Zephyr starts with the letter Z, I'll just go to the very end. But nothing comes up with Zephyr in the cold case files. You can spend more time investigating further, in which case I'll ask you to do another one at a future point. But currently you haven't found anything within cold case files.
I mean, I think I'll like on my like earring I'll send out to everybody else that just like tell me when we're ready, and I'm going to spend some time here just looking around, seeing if I can't find anything that is relevant to any of our current cases,
Certainly.
including Air Genasi, Cult, and I guess the Feywilds, if anything has happened here with that.
Yeah, okay, cool. Okay, yeah, keep in mind, just remind me of that when I get back to you, okay?
Yeah.
Alright, who would like to go next, Ember or Scorp?
I think Ember hasn't gone yet, so Ember can go.
Okay.
All right. Well, Ember just kind of decided to meander around the library and see if anything interesting stuck out to her. And as of right now, she's just kind of hanging out by one of the grand, bright fireplaces and keeping to herself, kind of keeping warm.
Cool, roll me a perception check, Ember.
Yeah, I can do that. Perception. I got a 7.
I
Now
took
you're-
everyone's luck. I'm sorry.
You are just vibing. This is not your
That's
normal.
right.
This is not your typical scene. Clearly, you're more of the tavern and drink kind of gal. But you look phenomenal, and you are in a place that realistically the only ever time you've probably been inside of a library or an archive is because you were trying to find a recipe book.
That sounds accurate, yeah.
Yeah, so you're just kind of like hanging out and being like doo doo doo. Then you get the message from Violet saying, "Hey, just let me know when we're all ready to go. I'm going to do some investigating, yada yada yada." And you just kind of like shrug, take it in stride, and then you find you just sort of like pick a random book. You didn't even look at the title. You just found the smallest book you could. Sat down at one of
Sounds
the
like me.
sat down at one of the tables. You spin the crystal a little bit and it begins to shift color. You find this it went from a nice like sky blue to a very warm auburn, and you're like, oh, that'll work, and you just began randomly reading a book.
Yep, that sounds like something I would do.
Yeah. Scorp, you were investigating something, correct?
Yes, I was looking for books that contained information about the cursed artifacts that we're currently hunting.
Wonderful. Go ahead and roll me an investigation check.
All right, one sec.
Then after Scorb, I had one more thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sorry, I'm also playing Dragon Quest while we're doing this, and Dungeons, D&D Beyond it goes so slow while I'm doing that.
It's no big deal, dude.
That's gonna be a 15 on my investigation.
15 is pretty solid. So you go into the historical section of the library. It's on floor 4. You sort of you decide to take the lift just for posterity, and you begin to roam around. As you go deeper into the archives, you find a set of books roughly that just kind of goes over the history of Abu Canastus, but you're more invested into the artifacts, so you're trying to find things related to them. You find a book known as The War of the Sun, and this book is a retelling of sort of the creation myth behind Abu Canasta and the gods themselves. It's something you may have heard once, but you didn't really put too much stock into it because your mind has always been in the here and now and how to handle things then. But it goes over the ongoing struggle between the gods of desolation and the gods of protection. It kind of goes over how there would be because the gods were so powerful that they worried about the damage it would do to the world, so they created these magical artifacts which would be the physical manifestations of their power to give them to avatars. These avatars would then be possessed by the weapons or would be granted powers by the weapons in order to fight on the gods' behalf.
Oh no.
Oh shit.
Oh no.
Oh shit. Okay then. I'm gonna go ahead and file that away in my very important section in my brain.
Mm-hmm.
And oh boy.
I will
I'm gonna
state,
process that.
I will state, however, that they never explained or described any of the weapons or artifacts. They just explained that the artifacts did this thing.
I'm crying.
I'm gonna sit and process that for a minute because that means that finding Serena is gonna be that much harder.
Hi, Frog.
Hi.
well,
I'm
Scorb
just
is,
coming to grips with that.
yeah. I just because Scorb's processing right now. How you doing?
I'm doing fine. So what I wanted to ask,
Yeah.
I wanted to approach an archivist that I could kind of get the attention of and see, like, if I could glean any information on the crystal, the big crystal.
Yeah. So one of the archivists at the desk, though, like I said, though every archivist seems to be busy with something, they all seem to have time to set aside for guests.
Right.
So you find this human, and he's sort of in the midst of. He looks like he's like writing 3 different reports at once, because you see 2 floating scrolls with magic quills that are writing on his behalf, while he is writing on a third one on the desk. But he looks up at you. Yes, how can I help you?
So I had just a couple questions, just purely out of curiosity, because I'm kind of a newcomer here. That crystal, the big one, the lift one.
Yes, the central crystal. What is?
Like, how does it work?
Ah, well, and he puts the quill down. He begins to stand upright. He goes, well, so these large crystals here are actually pure magic that have been crystallized, and they run in conjunction with the scarabs that we live upon. The giant scarabs of Abucanasta are actually these. Think of them like wardens to the desert. They whenever we go through migration, they are actually in the midst of transitioning to a new power spot to sit down and absorb the ambient magic to keep everything under control. Without the scarabs, the deserts would become raging. As far as we understand it from our records, the deserts of Abucanasa would become nothing more than raging sandstorms constantly, and monsters would run rampant. These giant scarabs were, I suppose, birthed by the god, the scarab god himself, in order to provide protection for those who live in the desert. And this is a form of their power. These crystals kind of create a sort of barrier around a certain range, which is why you'll see them all over the place. We have one clearly here at the library, but you'll also notice other large buildings, each within different quadrants of the city, that provide a protective barrier to kind of ward off any would-be desert creatures from attacking either the scarab or the city as a whole.
He lets out a long whistle and just goes, "Wow, these things are just really powerful and kind of amazing, aren't they?"
Indeed, indeed. We have done some research into trying to figure out how best to create miniature versions of them, but sadly, every attempt that we've done so far has only been used to create lanterns. We have yet to find a way to harness its abjurational powers to create a small personalized barrier. Hence the reason why we don't take them outside of the cities.
Totally makes sense. All right, thank you for your time. And then I'll get on the earring and be like, "Hey, so the crystal might be a target.
You
Huh?
all received that message.
Meaning?
Apparently they're
The
like
crystal?
it's a huge magical source that is tied directly to the scarab.
Who would it be a target for, do you think?
Whoever was behind the theft at the I just start running through the thefts that Etna told us about for each of the cities.
Oh yeah.
The large runic slab, the fine silk stolen from the brothels, which, not that big, but schematics for a new type of vehicle, magic tomes relating to the history of Abucanasta.
Yeah.
Ceremonial spices. Yes, I understand your point. Why would they go after the crystal, do you think?
I'm thinking this might be what they're working up to.
I hadn't considered that angle. Interesting. I'll keep it
I
in
have
mind.
no idea how they would manage this, but it is a possibility that I wanted you to be aware of.
I'll keep it in mind. Thank you.
Yep.
Right.
And that's my job done.
Yeah. Violet, because you had like 3 research projects you were working on. So you wanted to,
Yeah.
so you wanted to investigate
Also,
further
I
into
would like
Zephyr.
to phone Squarb real quick. Hey, did we ever get a last name for any of our like suspects
No.
in
Double
any
check
of our
my notes real
cases?
quick.
No.
Let me double check my notes. No, they were either they were using code names or they were very specific not to give out their last names.
Great. Okay. Well, I guess that is that. So I'll go out and investigate all of my different things. So I'm basically trying to find anything relating to any of our current cases, which include Air Genasi, um, uh, cult, but specifically the cult that we are looking at.
Okay, so the Cult of Golion.
Yeah, and if the Feywild has ever like been here before,
Certainly.
I'm not sure if that would. It's yeah. I'll include that
Okay.
Feywild stuff.
Yeah, certainly. Um, they're all in different sections, so I will say, because you're traveling around the library, if anybody would like to join you in your investigation, they are more than welcome to do so, and you can pool your resources that way.
Mm,
Square will absolutely help.
yeah.
I would help, but I don't know what the fuck that is, so Melania has no idea.
Fair enough. But yeah, no, and then Ember and Visper are equally able to assist you if you need them. Even be it as simple as providing the help action. So that's up to you. So which one would you like to
Great.
investigate first?
I think I will prioritize the cult, as
Okay.
that is at the top of my mind after getting the information from about the crystal.
Okay, cool. So the Cult of Golion is related to is definitely related to history. So that's definitely where Squarb is at. So you kind of meander over and you do find Squarb who was just finished putting away a book after he's read what he understood and is in the midst of processing it.
Violet,
Hi.
what brings you here?
I'm looking for stuff on our cult friends.
Perfect. A good next step. I was just finishing up doing some research on the cursed artifacts, like Serena touched. And then I'll go ahead and info dump what little I really understood out of that whole that whole thing that I just read, where basically Serena may or may not be god touched now.
Mm-hmm.
Huh?
Yeah, no, the artifacts that we're hunting, my understanding is that they're linked back to the creation myth, and may or may not be implements of the deities responsible for the creation of our world. So,
And like
find-
the giant skeleton just like had one?
maybe? I'm honestly uncertain. All I've really managed to gather is that Serena may or may not be god touched, making her that much harder to locate.
Cool.
Yeah! I'm not dealing with that well, so could I maybe help you with your thing?
Sure. I'm looking into the cult. One thing I'm particularly interested in is if they've ever like had something like this before where like they're trying to summon something and if they were stopped or what happened.
Right,
Or
I
if
think
this
I
is
can
like the
help find
first time
that.
they're trying.
I think I can help find something like that.
Yeah.
Okay, so with that in mind, you either both can roll investigation, or you can figure out which one of you has the higher investigation score, and you can roll with advantage, whoever has the higher.
My
I have plus
investigation is
0.
+3.
You
Okay.
take advantage.
Alright, thank you. One
Violet's
second.
lowest stat is intelligence,
Despite being the investigative soul.
yeah. I
Great.
play her off as like witty and smart, but she has 0 intelligence.
That's okay. It'll be a second while I go ahead and do my check.
Yeah.
we'll just we'll role play it as you guys kind of scanning through the shelves trying to find books.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a montage.
All right,
Wow.
that's gonna be a 15.
Wow,
I rolled
both
two
12s. That's impressive.
Right?
Yahtzee. All right, so with a 15, you both kind of begin your work. You kind of decided to go one section at a time, taking ends and then meeting in the middle, and then eventually you both stumble across various books. Some of them historical records, some of them sort of like fantastical stories about like it's very much a knight fighting the dragon sort of style stories where they're just sort of made up, but there might be some connection to it. And then going back once more, you come across another book related to the creation mythos. So you guys have these 3 books out. So the oldest one is obviously related to the creation mythos. And as you guys are scanning through, Golion, being a god of desolation, is let me pull up my notes. I should have done in doing that. Let me find my notes on them. Where did I put it? There it is. Okay, so yeah, Golion. So you know that his epitaph is known as the Plague. Golion has always been the reason why Golion is referred to as the Plague, the centipede god, is because in the mythos it was described as whenever Golion would traverse across the land, there would be nothing there. Nothing is left in his wake. It's all destroyed. So anything that was grown would be devastated. Any lives or any like fauna or lives would be destroyed underneath the thousands of legs that Golion uses to move around. And henceforth why he's given that epitaph. But that's about all you know. And the people who his followers, the cult of Golion, are very much a cult of destruction. It's not so much anarchy as it is so much destruction in its totality. And that's generally what they hope for, but how they go about it is sort of very clandestine. So they do small things like you would know, both of you would know, they like to use poisons, because they like to take the idea of plague as pestilence and poison. Henceforth, poison is their preferred form of combat, or their preferred form of destruction. However, you'll also notice that it has been stated that Golion is also known as Golion of 1,000 hands. And so a lot of the times they would try to modify their body. It's very weird because there's not a whole lot of records. This is where they fall into the realm of fantasy, where the further you go into certain things, it's believed that the cult of Golion is trying to become more like him by trying to spawn as many hands as possible in order to become closer to their god. Henceforth, why they have these very grotesque pictures that you see in some of the fantasy novels, where you would see this one person who would suddenly sprout somewhere between 6 to 8 additional limbs, each one wielding a different weapon. One of them would actually just become a centipede themselves in order to become as close to Golion as possible. In terms of their but yeah, that's about all you've able to find. It's mostly fantasy, but the cult of Golion's main goal, as far as you understand it, is destruction in its totality.
Well, that's significantly less than pleasant.
Yeah.
So what do we even do then? Who do we even report this to?
I mean,
I suppose
we're
we
about
can
to
mention it
talk to the prince.
Great minds.
And like, these are our people. They're the ones who are coming, right? Like,
That's my guess, at least.
Oh, sorry. You rolled the 15. I should also give this to you. You would also know that Golion's eternal rival, the goddess of protection, is Anwa Ballora, the crocodile goddess.
Oh, shoot. Okay. I'll go ahead and notate that real quick.
Yeah, sorry. I meant to give that to you, but I had to find her name.
No, you're okay. Well, I suppose all we can really do at this point is, as you suggest, and report it to the prince. See what they think.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna go see if there's any Air Genasi crime. I feel a bit less hopeful about this one, but
I suppose.
while
I
I'm
could tag
here,
along. Yeah. No reason not to while we wait. I'll tag along.
Wonderful.
yeah.
As
Are there,
you
like Air Genasi crime families? Is this like
is there a
Genasi
mafia of
mafia.
Air Genasi? That you know
There's
what?
the not mafia.
Yeah. Take that and put it in your bonnet. No, so this is interesting. As you guys are traveling around trying to find I guess crime records is the best way to put it. Is that what you're kind
Yeah.
of looking for? Okay.
yeah.
Okay. I would say at this point, because you have an active member of the Skada Audin, the Archivist will allow you to look into records dating as far back as 50 years, so current records of crimes,
Ooh.
because Scorb is now escorting with you.
Perfect. I needed to look into this anyway.
Yeah, so in this case, I will give you, since you're technically already taking advantage, I will give you a +5 to your next investigation check related to this particular incident.
All right.
All right. And can I make that now?
If you
Yep,
wish.
I'll let you do that.
All right. 1 sec.
Are you rolling with advantage?
I was not.
Okay, so we'll let this one roll out, and then we'll roll the second one.
D&D Beyond is working slowly today.
It's because him, not us. It's him.
Oh.
Yeah, I have my PS2 emulator going.
Ooh.
That's a 16 on my first check. Do you want me to roll again?
Yes, because you
17,
may
18,
get
20,
higher. Yeah,
Okay, give me a sec. I'm gonna close out my emulator real quick.
Yeah, because you may get higher, because that's technically a 21. Because I gave you a
21's
+5.
pretty good. But we could get a nat 20.
Mm-hmm.
Oh no, it doesn't appear to be just me because I closed out my emulator and I'm running nothing else but my browser and it's still running slow.
Fascinating.
I may need to clear my cache.
Maybe. We could do that after. You can do that after this investigation.
That is a nat 20.
Really?
Really?
It hasn't showed
Yeah.
up for us yet, so that's why we're like panicking.
I called
no,
it.
that is-
I called
that-
it.
Nat 20.
Holy shitoli! Yeah, that's a nat
The
20,
thing is,
making a
if I
28.
simply say that every single roll will be a nat 20, then it's bound to be
listen. If you say it every roll, you're bound to be right eventually.
5% of the time.
5% of the time, you're right.
Statistically.
Statistically speaking, yeah. Yeah, so 28. Oh my god. So where do I begin? I wasn't expecting you guys to beat 25.
The answer is yes.
The answer is the fast and loud answer is yes, there are crime families, but they're not purely Air Genasi crime families is the best way to put it. So you obviously have various crime families that the Skada Audin are very keenly aware of. However, they it's sort of a, how do I describe this? Scorb may not enjoy this because he didn't know about this till just now. It's sort of a, what's the phrase I'm looking for? It's sort of like a required evil sort of thing, like a necessary evil. Like, these records are pointing out to various crime syndicates within the Skada Audin. One of them being the Desert Hornets, that you guys are familiar with, who are the traffickers, the slavers. They're sort of them. So they're sort of they are the way these reports are written is sort of these various crime families, these various desert tribes are labeled almost as necessary evils. Like, because of these, we can continue to investigate elsewhere because of because this one evil merchant that lives in Killerin. We are able to continue to do our business in Killerin with less impunity, I guess is the best way to put it. So obviously you have the Desert Hornets, which is one of the crime syndicates. You have you have another they're technically classified as a cult, but they are technically a crime syndicate based on various activities, especially the most recent one. The I have them in my thing. I just need to find them again. It's the monk order that attacked you guys, that destroyed the Sith Scar Aldin headquarters. The I think I called them the Order of the Desert Wind, I think is what I referred to them as.
I think
Do
that's
they
right.
have a file on our Zephyr friend?
Yes, they do. They have an extensive file on your Zephyr friend, actually. Yeah, Order of the Desert Wind is what I was referring to. So Order of the Desert Wind, though they are classified more as a cult than as a crime syndicate, their activities are technically crimes within the cities. So henceforth, they are considered a crime syndicate. Mostly kidnapping, obviously, and mostly kidnapping, abduction, and destruction of property is their main things. Obviously you have slavery, slave trading, and things of that nature for the Desert Hornets. But then you have like other crimes. But then you have other crime families, such as the there's one who is just it's not a crime family. It's literally just one person, but they're assuming that it's a group. And it's Zephyr of the Azure Sky is the full epitaph of this character. And what you're reading in this file is that it's presumed that Zephyr of the Azure Sky is actually a group of Air Genasi working under the same name. Henceforth, why it's very hard to track them down, because every time they tried to take one in, they would always slip through their bindings somehow, some way, either via magic or they are just really hard to snag. Zephyr.
This sounds familiar.
Yes, Zephyr of the Azure Sky's entire MO is different, and you'll notice that this is a log that's dating 50 years from the current date, or from the current year. So apparently whoever or whatever this entity is has been doing this for 50 plus years. Their extensive history of crimes, though only extend as far as theft, have been everything from high larceny to petty larceny. So anything from like the most recent report is obviously stealing spices from the bazaar within Blasvitan.
Oh shit!
But it goes all the way up to one of them being stealing the what's it called? Stealing the sunstone of from the temple of Solneus, the hawk god, into everything in between. Some of these, but it has been noted that a lot of these items have been returned mysteriously throughout the years. One of them, obviously, being the sunstone of the temple of Solneus, but the smaller stuff was never returned. Only the big high-ticket items have been returned. And they were always returned within at least 2 years after their theft.
Can we find a file on one Azir?
Azir, yes.
Literally my next question.
Yeah, so actually using the file, you do note that there is a crime family that has the name Azir in it. This is these are known as the Desert Rocks, ROC. And these guys, they deal with how do I explain this? It's not immigration evasion. It's the oh god, what is that crime called? I'm drawing a blank on what the name of the crime is. But basically they specialize in their crimes mostly extend to Smuggling, that's the word I was looking for. They're smugglers. They would smuggle in various goods and things of that nature in and out between the Scarab cities as well as beyond Abu Kanasta, though there is no confirmed reports that they travel outside of Abu Kanasta. But most of them are things like most of them involve small scale drugs to arms and armaments to magic items, like all sorts of things. They have a whole slew of things. You would know that Azir is one of the family heads of this crime syndicate. But Azir has been notified as being not the head of the crime syndicate. He's just one of.
And sorry, what was the name of it again?
These are the Desert Rocks, ROC, like the giant birds.
I see. Okay. Do we have an image of his face?
There is a drawing of a most recent picture of a picture of him, but it's not recent. This drawing was dated back 27 years ago.
27.
Can I compare it to the? Because I've seen the person that I was hunting down for the spice theft. Can I compare that picture to this guy?
Yeah, absolutely.
In my head.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do they look similar at all?
So the main thing to take away from the picture, from the description that you were given, Squarb, versus the picture here, is that you were told that the Azir that you are trying to chase down had a large scar going from his left shoulder to his right hip that goes just right across. 27 years ago, according to the picture that you have here, he did not have the scar.
Right, but otherwise looks very similar to the description.
If you were to age him up, you could reasonably assume this is the same person. Yes.
Interesting. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and notate that.
Yeah.
Squarb whips out his notepad and is furiously scribbling.
Violet takes out a sheet of paper and writes down like 4 words.
Yeah. You'll note that Azir's crimes, obviously outside of smuggling, involve things like assault, or assault and battering, evading arrest, assault on the Skara Aldin, larceny of all kinds. Like his record speaks for himself. He's very much a thug, but he's also slippery. Though he has been charged with all sorts of crimes, you will notice that he's never been caught.
Absolutely fascinating.
You should have come here like way earlier. Oh my.
100%. No, Squarb would have known this existed, but I, as the player, did not even think about it.
Kept dropping hints. I'm like, you guys are in the city of information. The city of information.
No, you're totally right. That's not on you, bud. That's on me.
I know.
I know.
I mean, we've used pretty much one avenue of information for.
That's
the
true.
whole
You've been
thing.
using the shadiest avenue
Yeah,
of
we've been
information.
using fucking Kassar.
Yeah. Yes, Seeks. He's an absolutely extremely good career criminal. So you guys now know about the various crime families. I'll give you more crime families later, but the big ones are obviously the Desert Hornets, the Azure Sky, and the Desert Rocks were the 3 big ones that I wanted to give out. You guys learned about the Cult of Golion. Was there another thing you guys needed to investigate? I remember a third thing.
Not me personally. I need to step away for a bio break for a minute too.
No problem.
I feel like we've gotten a lot of good information here.
Okay.
On Azir and Zephyr. Sorry, what was the name of the Zephyr we met? What was that crime family?
So it's hard to determine because that Zephyr never gave out who they worked for.
Right, but didn't we have one, like the attack on the?
Oh yes, you had so you would know this because you spoke with them. They were actually not part of the family. They were hired from off the streets. Those kids.
Right, the kids were hired.
Yeah, the kids were hired off the streets. They were not part of the crime family.
They didn't know who they were working for.
Mm-mm. They were just given coin to serve as distractions for the real Zephyr, or for potentially the real Zephyr.
And we don't know who attacked the actual Scar Aldine.
Correct. Well,
Okay.
so you know them to be members of the Order of the Desert Wind, but that's about it.
All right. Are any of the Zephyrs identified, or have they all been gotten away before?
They've
They could
all
be
gotten
confirmed.
away. Yeah, they've all gotten away, and they've all worn the same garb, very loose-fitting clothes. They look almost like this, like So if you if you pull up a picture of the Jinn, the genie race Jinn, they look very similar to that, except they wear a face covering, and and then typically they will either have their hair hidden behind a shawl or tied up. So, like the hair is always different, but that's mostly probably because it's depending on different reports. But they all seem to wear the same thing, very loose fitting clothing to give off the appearance of wind blowing around them. But they all present blue skin similar to that of the sky on a clear day. It's confirmed that they're all Air Genasi, but outside of that, descriptions vary greatly depending on what year they are reported.
Okay.
Yeah, henceforth why the Azir, the Azure Skies profile is so extensive, because they can't tell if it's a copycat, if it's the same person overall, if they're using magic to change what they look like, or if it's multiple people serving the same purpose.
Okay. If I remember correctly, when we said the name Azir to the Zephyr
Mm-hmm.
that we met, he reacted. He said that he hadn't heard that name in a long time.
That's correct.
Okay, so Azir might have left Zephyr, or Zephyr's very.
Oh no. So Azir's part of the Desert Rock family, the smuggling family, not part of the
Yeah.
Zephyr family.
Okay, so we don't even know if Azir was Zephyr at all.
Correct. As far
Okay.
as you can tell, based on that 28, there doesn't appear to be a distinct connection between Azir and the Zephyr and the Azure Sky, outside of the fact that he's an Air Genasi.
All right. Well, I feel like I've gotten as much as I can out of this.
Mhm.
So I guess the very final thing I wanted to look into a little bit was to see if Blasphatan has ever had any other encounters with the Feywilds.
Yes, that's the third thing. Okay. As soon as Squarb gets back, we'll use his investigation. Welcome back. So the last thing that we're going to investigate is, have there been any connections to the Feywild between specifically Blasphatan, correct?
Yes.
Okay,
I
go
think
ahead.
so.
All right, Scorb, if you would like to, unless you want to do this one for yourself, Violet, you're more than welcome to do so.
Scorb, I think you should. You have a better investigation. Also, I'll call Visper over, as
Oh,
this
that's
one
a
is
good idea.
specifically interesting to Visper.
Okay.
Yeah, let's
Alright.
pull her in on this too.
All right, cool.
Yippee.
And then should I be
So
rolling this check with advantage or no?
you will be getting the help
Yes,
action.
right?
I will say, because Visper is involved, she may have some inkling. I'll give you a +2 to your roll.
Okay. So my first check is bad. Let me go ahead and do another.
Mm-hmm.
Not 20.
once again, if we say it all the time, 5% of the
say it-
time.
Yep.
5% of the time, you're
5%?
right every time.
5% is a lot. 5% is
Hey,
a
5%
lot
a
of-
huge amount, man.
Yeah.
So this time I got a
15.
13.
So 15.
15 with my total +2, yeah.
I love the averages here. Okay, so with a 15, Scorb, you, Visper, and Violet kind of continue scrolling through the records of the Skada Aldine, because who knows, maybe the Skada Aldine had to keep a record of it for some reason, but you also kind of scan beyond. There have been stories of people who are not typical of Abu Kanasta. For some of them were obviously merchants from other kingdoms beyond the Dragonspine Mountains, which is the border to the west of Abu Kanasta. But other times it is they just seemingly come from nowhere. The obvious first thing that comes to mind is your companion, Millennia. They seemingly just came out of nowhere, but they're here now. But as far as you're aware, there haven't been any people who have claimed to be from the Feywild and then confirmed to be from the Feywild. A lot of people, yeah, so a lot of people have stated that they were in the Feywild, and when they left, they came into Blasvatan, but nobody has been able to confirm said reports. As I'm sure you have some inkling of awareness, at least you, Scorb, and you, Violet, time runs very differently depending on which dimension you're in, or depending on what plane of existence you may be in.
Right.
So it may just be because of that discrepancy that maybe that's why they haven't been able to confirm any reports. But as far as you're aware, there haven't been any real connections aside from recently of somebody coming from the Feywild and being in Blasvatan specifically.
All right.
High risk, high reward.
High risk, high reward.
Yeah. Well, honestly, I didn't expect too much from that one. I'm ready to move on.
Okay. So as you guys finish doing your research on the Feywild connection, you all receive a floating letter in the shape of a hawk, and it speaks out to you in common, saying, the desert prince, the merchant prince is ready to see you now. Please make your way to the lift in the center of the please make your way to the central elevator, and then ascend to the highest floor.
Ooh,
All
is
right,
it edible?
okay.
The
Is-
hawk?
It's a hawk made out of paper.
Yeah, is it edible?
What?
Oh,
Why? Why are
I
you
don't
like
think you
this?
need to know that.
Chaotic neutral.
No, I'm not letting you eat the paper hawk.
Why not?
I mean, I wouldn't either, but we're not there with her.
We are. We're right next to her.
Are we? Oh yeah, no, I'm sorry, my brain stopped working for
I
a second.
grab it and I secretly take a tiny nibble.
The hawk shreds into 1,000 pieces as it finishes its message.
Oh, that was sad. I thought it would just like stick around.
It would before it was grabbed.
Oh,
The
love
embodiment of
party.
chaos. That's it.
That's all I wanted to say is I love this party.
Anyways, let's go on.
So you all make your way to the central crystal, where an archivist is waiting for you. She kind of looks like Etna if Etna was 5'4" instead of 3'2".
Wait, she's actually 3'2"? I thought she was taller than that.
No, Etna's a
Dang.
gnome, dude.
Oh wow.
Oh, Edna. I misheard you and thought you said Etna from like Disgaea.
No, it's the same name.
The more you know.
No, but no, it's just this. It's the same name because I just really like the name. But no, they're two different people. But yeah, no. So it's like looking at a taller version of Etna, except the fact that she's more like she's like a small human. She stands at like 5 foot. She stands at like 5'2", and then she's waiting for you. She has her spectacles on and her archivist's robe. And then as she watches you all approach, she goes, "Oh, are you here to see the desert, the merchant prince?"
yes.
As a matter of fact, we are.
Wonderful. Please step into the lift with me. And she steps into what looks to be a very open, empty space. But as she steps over, you notice that there's a arcane wave that emanates underneath her feet as she steps into the what seemingly looks like a pit of emptiness below her.
Uh,
Squarb will confidently
Cool.
follow her lead.
I mean, you
I
guys
will
have
follow
Follow suit.
Squarb.
you guys have been in the elevator before, but or you guys have been in the lifts before, but they all had designated like circles. This is the first one that's like right on the central platform where the central crystal sits. So that's probably the hesitation you're experiencing.
yeah, I'll go in.
Yeah. I'm ready.
So, as you all step onto the platform, she, her glasses begin to flit about with arcane runes, and then she goes, "Up, please," and then just, you know how elevators like drop down before they go up?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Same feeling, just that, and then the magic just kind of lifts you all up as you guys head upstairs, as you guys head up to the top floor. As you guys are heading your way up, it's like a glass elevator. You guys can see everything from above, kind of moving at a
Ooh.
slow speed as you guys ascend. You see all sorts of different people kind of flittering about. They start to become ants the higher you go. As you pass the 5th floor and enter into the central tower, you'll notice that the scenery changes, and what feels like about every 15 or so feet, you get a glimpse outside, and you begin to see the wider view of Blasvatan from the tower as you are ascending. And you kind of get this beautiful cityscape view. You see out in the distance, it's about midday now. You see these like beautiful, like almost picturesque view of what a city would look like when it's peaceful, you know?
Well,
You see,
is frowning more and more
yeah.
as we go higher and higher.
You'll the more perceptive of you, the more perceptive of you will notice that you'll see some people kind of hopping from rooftop to rooftop. You'll see a couple of them doing like spins and flips and stuff like that. And then you'll see a couple of Sunhawks flying around and fly past you guys as they are going on patrol. And the higher you go, it's just a very like simple and picturesque view before you inevitably make it to the top of the tower. At which point, it feels like it took forever, but honestly, it took maybe the better part of 3 minutes. And she goes, "This is your stop." And and she turns around, and you all turn, and you see this very messy is not the word I was looking for. It's more like just disorganized. There are shelves of books and scrolls just filled to the brim. There are a number of archivists at various tables that sort of line all the way up to the central or to the upper platform in the back. And each one of them has got stacks of papers and magic quills and everything like that, just kind of going everywhere. You see pieces of paper sort of flutter about as they are being organized into various shelves. Some of them are being rolled up into scrolls. Some of them are being put into books as if they're writing a book themselves. At the very end of this line of desks, it has this large opening, and you see this. It's kind of hard to see due to the sun, but it produces ambient light here. But you see this dark-skinned woman who's in the midst of talking with like 6 other people at once. She's sitting there. She's writing down something before she leans over and hears the whispers of a person who's wearing a mask before they sort of sink into the shadows and disappear. She says something to an archivist, and then that archivist nods, and then rapidly returns to their desk. And then like you see these two well-armed guards at her side, with their hands behind their back, just sort of observing everything. As she continues to go about her work, she kind of looks up and she notices you, and then it's hard to tell in darkness, but you can feel like a bit of a sly smile appear on her lips as she shoos away all of her attendants, and then she sits up and she stands a very tall 6'2", and when she stands upright, she sort of slides the desk magically out of the way to provide a full view, and then she begins to step down. I believe you are of the Scholar Aldine I was waiting for?
Yes, as a matter of fact.
Well, I apologize for the disorganized chaos of that which is my office, but please, approach. We have much to discuss, I hear.
Indeed, we do.
Uh,
So Sparb will then approach, and then wait for the appropriate opportunity to info dump.
Okay. The closer you guys get, you start to realize that the way she is dressed is not what you would have expected. She's not dressed in any opulent clothes, and she's not like decked out to the nines. She's dressed very, I guess, very plainly is the best way to put it. But it's clear that she's dressed for her comfort, not for anybody else's. She has this, she wears this face mask that, or not face mask. It's sort of like she wears a face veil over her nose that kind of, but like her hair is this flowing cascade of raven black that has been tied up, very similar to I guess the best way to put it is very similar to Princess Jasmine from Disney, but her hair cascades over her shoulder instead of on her past her back. She wears these very intricately designed black gloves that have a small little cat paw on the backs of the hands, and then she has a what's the best way to put it? She wears, I hate the term, but she's wearing very comfortable like harem pants that are also that sort of contrast, as these are as this is like a vibrant violet that contrasts to her dark hue. But you notice that her midriff is well toned, as she doesn't have a piece of clothing that covers it up. And then she wears something akin to, I think it's a tube top is what I'm thinking of. Do tube tops have shoulders? Because I'm thinking of that, whatever the hell the equivalent of that is.
I don't think they do.
I don't think they do either. I don't know women's fashion, clearly. I just know you girls need fucking pockets.
Isn't that just a crop? If it has shoulders, isn't it just a crop top?
A crop top. Okay, I'll go with that. Yeah, it's just a crop top, but it shows off her midriff. But she has a very athletic, lithe build. Like she's clearly gone out and exercised her life. You know what I mean? The most starking feature about her, besides her outfit, is her amber eyes that seem to look not at you but through you. As almost as if she's scanning you like a predator to a prey. Her two guards are dressed up. Scorb, you've probably don't recognize them, but you do recognize the symbol that they have on their on the clip onto their shoulder capes. These are members of the Scholar Aldine's Black Cat unit. The Black Cat unit is these are, how do I describe this? They are like spies, but oftentimes they're called in to do wet work. These are like, so like, right. If you are the light, they are the shadow.
These are the guys that do the dirty work.
Yes, these are the guys. These are like your spec ops units, effectively. But they're most notable for their recon. So whenever you're like, hey, I need this researched, when a commanding officer sends somebody out to do recon, the Black Cats are what's called it.
Understood.
But you notice that these two are actually very lightly armored. They wear this very dark leather underneath their cloaks, underneath their shoulder capes. But you can tell it's very loose fitting, or at least it's breathable. Like they have full maneuverability in their armors. But their cat masks completely envelop their face, so that way you cannot recognize who they are. And as you guys make your approach, she motions over, and a couple of archivists have set aside a meeting table for you all to sit at, and there's also some drinks and some snacks for you guys to enjoy as you sit down and enjoy yourselves. She sits down on this very large couch, and she has another couch for you five to sit on. She goes, "Please take a seat."
Of course.
Squarb will go ahead and take a seat.
Very uncomfortably take a seat as well.
Yeah, I will take a seat and realize how much sitting sucks in tight clothes.
This is out of character, but I gotta go.
No, I
So-
just saw that. No, you're good. You're fine.
All right. See y'all. Bye
Okay.
bye.
Bye, Lumi.
Bye.
Okay, so I guess I should ask, how are you all seated? like who's seating next to who on the couch? It's a very large couch, so you guys have enough room for all five of you.
Squarb
I
sits
take-
dead center.
I'll take just left.
I'll take far right.
So I guess
I guess I'll sit next to Squarb.
awesome. And then Visper will sit between Ember and Millennia. So as you all sit down, she sits down. She sort of has a very leisurely demeanor about her. Her arms spread out over the back of the couch, and her legs are crossed. But you notice that her two guards just seem to stand just behind her, ever ready and at attention. So then, what would you like to discuss with me?
I suppose the better question is, where do we even start? Surely you're aware of the sudden rash of thefts across the city, the cult activity, things along those lines, correct?
Yes, I have been informed of such things.
Put simply, we're the ones in charge of investigating these particular activities. In the line of duty, however, we happened to pick up this one. Squarb will gesture towards Visper. And we may have accidentally committed a diplomatic snafu? There's no easy way to put this. She's a runaway from the Spring Court in the Feywilds, and they want her home. We've been given a week to return her, however, she does not wish to be returned. We're uncertain on how to approach this particular situation in a diplomatic matter, and that is currently what is most pressing.
The merchant prince sort of looks at you, trying to eye you up and down, kind of figure out whether or not your words are true. And then she leans a little bit forward, dropping her arms. Well then, you appear to be in quite the bit of trouble, aren't you?
I'm afraid so, and the trouble we've gotten into seems as though it may impact the entirety of Blasvatan if we're not careful. We sought the advice of my commanding officer, Lee, who immediately insisted upon setting up this meeting with you.
Yes, I'm aware. Okay, so then, do you know where these Fey wanderers, I guess is the best way to put it? Do you know where these people are currently?
Other than the one
Spread
with
out
us.
throughout the city.
Exactly.
I see. And then she lightly taps the couch twice, like on her right hand side, and from her shadow, you see stepping out is another member of the Black Cats, and they are their head is down. They're on one knee. Their head is down as if they're waiting for orders. Please investigate to find out their location on my behalf. And then all you hear is just the shifting of their armor before they sink back into the shadows.
Squarb mutters to himself, "My God, those guys are cool."
I was looking right at him. Where'd he go?
Yeah. And she goes, "Aren't they? They're amazing."
Put simply, we don't wish to accidentally tread on any toes and jeopardize our diplomatic relations with the Spring Court, however, and we were hoping you might be able to, help?
I see. Well, that doesn't seem to be too big of an issue. I'll have to speak with the other merchant princes about this, but I can at the very least make you an envoy of Blasvatan for trade purposes, we'll say.
I think that would help quite a lot. Our charge doesn't wish to return to her family, at least not at the time being, and I think that we may be able to come to some kind of conclusion that would allow her to continue her journeys with us as long as she wishes to stay with us. I just, again, didn't wish to step on any toes.
Fair enough. And then she looks over at one of the archivists. The archivist looks up, looks over. Right away, is all he says before he puts the paper over and then starts scribbling on a new piece of paper. You'll have your writ here soon enough.
Thank you very much. For what it's worth, as I do believe it's important for you to understand what we're about to go and suggest to the Fey Court, we were thinking that it would be best to... how do I put this? It would be best to display the educational advantages of their daughter traveling with us, at least for the time being, so that she may, once she eventually is to a point where she can communicate with us on a more diplomatic stance, be more able to... You get what I'm trying to say. I apologize. I'm not used to speaking in this manner.
It's quite all right. You can speak plainly with me.
Put simply, she wants to go on a field trip with us, and we're more than willing to allow her to tag along, as long as her parents don't cause a war over it.
It's at this point you see for the first time one of the guards just kind of like turns over to the side, and you can see their shoulders shift. They're clearly chuckling at what you just said before they return back to attention.
That's fine. It was a funny way to put it. So, for what it's worth, I just wanted you to know what we were going to do, because we will essentially be doing it on your behalf, is my understanding.
You will. So, this writ that we're writing is more or less a trade agreement. You will have to speak on my behalf to try to convince whoever is in charge there about willing to trade information with us, and in exchange we will do the same.
Understood. That would actually be quite helpful, as we're currently pursuing several other leads for several other problems within the city, and I can't imagine that having an informational trade agreement with the Fae would hurt.
Well, it would also help because we know nearly nothing about the Feywild, so any sort of new information would benefit Blasvatan greatly, and perhaps even put us over on the other cities.
I can't help but agree.
Speaking of other cases, we have reason to believe the Royal Library might be the next target in a series of thefts all over Abu Kanasta.
Thank you, Violet. I was going to bring that up next.
Oh, I'm well aware of the potential of the Royal Library being under siege for whatever reason it may be. But I assure
Probably
you,
the giant
we haven't...
crystal.
Perhaps, but I assure you, the library is secure.
Not that I doubt your statement in the slightest, but it is worth mentioning that the folks responsible for the rash of thefts may also be connected with a cult that we're currently investigating, who are also responsible for the disappearance of one of my flock. Upon doing some further research in the library earlier, look. The long and short of it is we found some cursed artifacts. One of our friends decided to touch one, they've disappeared, she may or may not be god-touched, and that's in relation to the cult, which may or may not be in relation to the family crime, the Genasi family, crime family that may be targeting the crystal in the library.
Millennia's eyes are getting wider as wider as Scorp goes on, as she realizes what's being said.
Melania's first day at work. That can't be too bad. Millennia's first
Melania's
2 hours
second
of
day at work.
Yeah, Millennia's 2 hours into the shift. What the fuck did I get myself into?
Melania's second day at work, she is in the Feywilds.
Your contract is gonna be fucking insane.
Don't worry,
We're
you'll
not
get paid.
paying you, by the way.
I love how Mafia and I went exactly the opposite.
Don't worry, you're getting paid. We're not paying you. Mixed
not. You
messages.
can.
Oh, the
I'll
mixed
see to it
messages.
that Millennia is paid.
When you bring up the crime families, her demeanor slightly shifts. It becomes a not completely dour, but it becomes slightly stiffer.
Makes sense.
I see. I will do what I can to increase the security then.
Much appreciated. As you can see, it's quite the mess that we've found ourselves in.
Clearly. But you guys are doing your best to handle it.
As always, I mean, the Skara Odin is absolutely in the habit of solving issues, at least typically.
Well, we make it a habit of paying you well enough to make sure that it's resolved as efficiently as possible.
Squarb chuckles slightly and says, "Indeed, thank you."
Now then, about that writ, and then she just sort of like does like a approach hand gesture over to the archivist, and he goes, "Yes, right away," and he walks over and he hands her the writ so that way she can look it over. Yes, it seems that everything's in place, and then she passes it off back to the archivist, who then hands it over to you, Squarb, as you are the main person who's speaking. So this writ will allow you to act on my behalf diplomatically so long as you are in the Feywild and you're simply speaking to whoever's in charge there.
I will make certain to act within the best interests of our home.
Please do. And should you arrive and they decide that they don't wish to do trade with us, I would request that you bring back any information you can.
Understood. Between
Of
myself
course.
and the rest of my crew, I think that we'll do at least something.
I'm sure to expect results from you, Featherfowl. Now then, as you can clearly tell, we're still busy. We have a lot of information transferring over through, and with 1 week left before the migration ends, we have a lot of preparation to make.
I understand. We'll go ahead and leave you to it then.
Of course. Oh, and one more thing. And she raises her hand, and one of the black cats puts a small scroll tube in her hands, and she places it on the table. Please make sure that Kassar gets that.
Understood. I'll look at the rest of the party and ask if any one of them would be more able to deliver it than I, because I have other work I'm gonna have to go do right after this.
Sure.
Because I'm gonna have to go report back to Commander Lee.
In the meantime, what of the rest of you? Do you have anything else you would ask of me? It's a rare opportunity. I have a moment to have a meeting.
You go ahead.
Have you heard of an Azir?
I have.
Anything within the recent, especially recently?
Well, everything related to Azir we have on record, but recently I have heard he's been traipsing about the Scarab cities. Last time I heard, he was in Dakamal.
Come on. All right. Well,
Jesus Christ.
that that's helpful. I am personally interested in finding him.
I see.
So
Uh,
hopefully that can.
if I recall correctly, you are the errand girl for, for the. Oh, which one was it? It was for one of my necromancers, yes?
Did the attire give it away?
It's the way you present yourself. Also, and then she kind of like leans over, or she kind of like uh does like a quarter inch tilt to her head. These eyes see more than what you think.
I should try anyway.
I appreciate the candor. Well, as long as you're not getting into trouble, I think you'll be fine.
Yes.
And what of you two? And she kind of gestures to Millennia and Ember. Is there anything you would wish of me?
This is gonna be kind of an awkward ask, but not really awkward. Sorry, I don't know how to talk to people like you. Has there been any news of like a group of visiting beastmen recent, like around when the migration started, when I showed up?
Not to my knowledge, but we'll look into it and I'll send somebody to report back to you, assuming it's within the week.
I appreciate that.
And what of you, my
And
lovely?
well, as for me, I'm just here. I'm just present and part of this, and I mean, if you know of any good taverns I could make some coin in playing a song and telling a story or two, that'd be great. But besides that, I'm just glad to be here, lady.
Well, I'm happy you're here as well. And sadly, you've already found the best place to make your coin. Niella's Nook is a personal favorite of mine.
Oh, got it.
Well then, this has been insightful. I'll have to report to the other merchant princes about this ordeal. But I appreciate you providing me with new insight into the recent happenings within my city. As you can tell,
Of
it's
course,
very
my lady.
hard to keep everything in check. To compensate you, here, please, take this on my behalf. And one of the other black cat on her right tosses you a coin satchel. Divvy that up as you see fit. Now, I must return to work.
Understood, my lady. Please stay safe, and until we meet again.
So there are 5 of you.
Yep.
Yep.
She gave you the equivalent of 2,000 gold in
What the-
gems.
Holy shit!
Huh.
And there is
Squirm
also
counts the gems out, and his eyes grow huge.
and there's a note in the satchel as well.
What's it say?
It says, "We appreciate your discretion." Is all it says.
Squarb understands. So we'll go ahead and divvy that up 5 ways, I guess.
So that's
Quick math, it's
That's
400.
should be. Was it 400?
Yeah, that's
400.
2,000 gold, 400 gold for everybody, or
Okay,
2,000
oops,
gold.
I-
Yeah.
Yeah,
I did an extra
that's
100.
just doubled.
So
that's
that's
just
fine.
doubled Squarb's in pocket.
Same.
I don't know what I'm going to spend this money on because I don't need armor or anything.
I've got a couple of well, no, I had a couple, but now I've got lock and key. I don't need to upgrade that anymore.
Having poison funds is always nice. I currently have 8 things of poison.
So yes, so yeah, you all have been given gemstones as sort of a, I guess, hush money is the best way to put it. She's provided
Because
you
the
with.
general public doesn't need to know that there's a cult attempting to start the end of the world.
Mhm.
Yep.
Or that the city is potentially under attack. Yes, no. Hush money is very much indeed the motive behind these gems.
This instantly, in Millennia's mind, made it completely worth it to deal with all the crazy crap that just went through her head.
Squarb will look towards Millennia and say, "See, I told you we'd get you paid."
Yep.
It would appear so. It would definitely appear so.
Now then, I have other work I must attend to. I need to go and report to my commander. I trust the rest of you will be able to find to prepare appropriately accordingly for our journey into the Feywilds.
Yeah, I can't wait to get out of these clothes.
With that, Squarb's going to go ahead and take off and head back towards his outpost.
Wonderful. I did forget to mention it because it was a very brief meeting, a very informal meeting. I never even gave you your merchant prince's name. Her name is Abika.
Thank you.
Yeah, so Ebbikka.
EB. Right?
Here, I'll just.
Oh wait, lots of double letters.
Yes, it's 2 double letters.
Ebbikka.
Correct.
And then, not to be that guy, but this feels like a good place to wrap.
It is. I was gonna tell you guys this is where we're gonna wrap. But also, everybody, please level up to 6th level.
Shit. All right. No, that's not already. We've been at 5th for like the last 5 sessions.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well,
yeah.
this is a major milestone, so this is why I'm having you guys level up now. This is a major milestone.
Yeah.
I'm gonna grab my rogue level.
Okay.
I'm gonna continue going on straight fighter. So
Yeah, absolutely.
3rd level barbarian for me.
All right. So,
Which means I get an extra D8 of hit points.
yeah, go ahead and start rolling your hit points. Remember, reroll 1s.
3 is not very good. Oh, I can finally get proficiency in investigation from my
Yeah,
multi-class.
there you go.
Or I could grab
rolled max
deception.
1 HP.
oh shoot, I get an ability score improvement this level. That's so nice.
Yeah, fighters get a bunch of ability score improvements.
Or I could take a feat. I'm not sure I actually need a feat because a lot of what I'm good at getting into combat and I'm good at defending my people. So
Sentinel would be a good feat to have.
What's that?
Sentinel. When you make an opportunity attack, if you successfully hit the person who invoked your opportunity attack, they have 0 movement and they just stop.
Ooh, and that would be really good for defending the rest of my party, and it fits in line with what Squarb's trying to do. So I'm gonna go ahead and take Sentinel.
Yep.
I mean, I don't really need the bonus to strength or dexterity at this level, so we'll see what's happening next.
Exactly. Ember, what are you leveling
Sentinel's
up? Bard?
amazing. Sentinel's so good.
Yep, so I just leveled up. I have Counter Charm, 6th level, Unfailing Inspiration, and Universal Speech.
Oh my god, Unfailing Inspiration is so busted.
It's such a good spell.
I'm very excited.
So Unfailing Inspiration is one of my favorite things from the Eloquence Bard. So she can give you guys a Bardic Inspiration, and if you fail the skill check with the Bardic Inspiration included, you keep the Bardic Inspiration until you pass it.
That's so cool.
Yeah, Eloquence Bard is fucking awesome. And then, what'd you roll for hit points?
Are you asking all of us, or?
Yeah, just everybody, so that way I get a count to make sure that you guys didn't roll 1s.
I'm up to
3.
66 now.
So I'm up to
I'm at
35.
51.
You did roll a
I
one.
think
You
my
got
roll was like 7.
okay. So Ember, if you rolled a 1, you got to re-roll it because I don't allow only one additional hit point when you level up.
How do I re-roll that?
So you take
Just
whatever
roll
the
the
hit.
die again.
Yeah, so take whatever the hit die is and just re-roll it.
I got a level in Rogue, which means I now have sneak attack.
Oh,
Oh, no.
gods.
I also now have
Ooh.
expertise in Arcana and Intimidation.
Nice.
You getting sneak attack is very nice.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
gonna be fun.
Especially when Squirb and Meliana are up right next to the creature, so I can just get it from flank instead of having to think.
Yeah, that's
Absolute
great.
I
perfection.
got an 8.
Wow. Fuck. Okay.
I
That's-
got a 12.
Nice.
So I'm up to 77 total.
Awesome. Well, everybody, that's going to be it from us today. Thank you so much for joining us for our 16th episode. Next week, we will continue setting up for their journey into the Feywild. Until then, guys, that's going to be it from us. Thank you so much once again. Make sure you guys have something to eat, get something to drink, be good to each other, and remember, we love you. Till next time. Bye for now.
Stay safe, everybody.
Bye.